Okay, so in this video we're checking out the EMAX Nanohawk. This is, I guess, their entry into the 65 millimeter class for these 1S whoops. I think we haven't seen one from them. Yeah, the other one, the Tiny Hawk, original Tiny Hawk was like, I think it was a 40 millimeter prop. This is a 31 millimeter prop. So this is the first one, and I guess from EMAX, and I guess people have been asking for this for a while. Pretty different design here, and they're going with the carbon fiber bottom plate here. I think it's like 1.5 millimeters. It's very stiff. If you just try and bend the frame at the carbon plate there, it doesn't bend at all. Of course, the rest of the frame is quite flexy, including these prop guards here. So I'm not sure I'm thrilled about the prop guard design here. It does make it, in terms of the weight mass on the outside here, it does make it less. So in terms of Betaflight and PID tuning and acro performance, it's going to be better than a lot of the other ones out there currently of the traditional design, like the Mobula 6 here. This is a more traditional design. So there's a lot of mass here, and these plastic ducts here are actually prop guards. So when you do a lot of acro and stuff, the motors can't really control that mass appropriately unless you have like this one here, the 25,000 kV motors, in which case you're giving up quite a bit of flight time. But still, the PID controller has a hard time dealing with the mass. So they've reduced that mass on the Nanohawk here with these very minimalistic prop guards. And if you hit it, in this spot here, it does end up hitting the prop. And you can see where it is scratching the prop guard right there as well. But if the prop's like this and you hit something, the prop guard bends enough to the point where the prop is exposed like that. So I've actually hit myself and cut myself, more like a scratch, but yeah, it'll draw blood if you hit yourself hard enough. The other problem is it will bend the prop as well. So the prop will end up getting bent up, and then you have to bend it back. And yeah, you get a lot of jello because I think I've pretty much bent all of these and bent them back several times, and they haven't broken. They just bend them back, and it'll fly fine. It's just that you get a lot of jello in the video. So my initial flights, it was fine. Not really that much jello, but as I started bending props and getting more, I guess, unbalanced in the motors in the prop area, you get a lot more jello in this camera here, and especially in brighter lighting conditions. And yeah, this is the Runcam Nano 3, I believe. It was already pretty much prone to jello, but I think this canopy design, along with the props getting bent, does tend to get a lot of jello in the video. And you can even see it indoors in low light. You can see the jello as well. So I'm thinking they may need to beef up this camera design here, or the camera mount design. And you can see, like, I'm not sure if I broke it here, if this is normal or not, but this does move quite a bit, and the camera does move. As you can see, I can move it here fairly easily. So I'm not sure if I perhaps knocked it out of a sort of a locking mechanism. Couldn't quite figure that out. I had to take a look at it, but I'm not really sure if I broke something there. That's quite possible, but it hasn't come out, and I haven't broken the camera. And the other downside to this canopy design is that the camera angle is fixed. So if you want more angle for more acro flying, like Matty flips or something like that, or the trippy spin, for example, you're not going to get that like you can on the Mobula 6, where you can move the camera all the way up and you get quite a bit more camera angle. So that's another downside. Now, in terms of the rest of the electronics here, we got a new flight controller boards, 1S, 5 amp ESCs. So it's I think it's an F411 with a built-in SPI receiver, and that one is, at least for this one here in mine, it's a D8 to 16 cable receiver, and also Redpine will work as well. If you guys know what Redpine is, that'll work on this receiver as well, and that's built into the flight controller. So you have flight controller plus the receiver plus the 4-in-1 ESC, and that's what the board looks like here. I think it's up to 5 amps. The video transmitter looks like it's separate, so you can kind of see it. It's right there. There's a little button right there to unlock it, and it's 25 milliwatts only. So no 200 milliwatts. It's 25 milliwatts only. The antenna just kind of sits back here like this, and you can see that I've already chopped up the heat shrink on here because it does flop around and will get into the props occasionally, but the active element hasn't been ripped off yet. The motors are, I think they're 0802s. They're not labeled on this one here. I think this is an early sample. They're 0802s, 19,000 kV, I believe. So pretty standard. I think the Mobula 6 also comes with a 19,000 kV version, as well as the Meteor 65, all the other ones. This one here just happens to be the 25, I think this is the 25,000 kV version, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, this one's a 25,000 kV. So it does come with a new battery and battery connector. So they're using the GNB27 connector here, as you can see. And this 300 milliamp hour battery with the connector as well. And they only sent one, so I had to charge it every time. So the standard charger with the PH2 connector, but they do give you an adapter in this little bag here. So PH2 to GNB27. You get a screwdriver, some extra screws and grommets, and extra rubber bands. And that's how the LiPo is held on with these little rubber bands here. Didn't come out. Never really had a battery ejection, so it was fine. It held it in. You just make sure that if you get a lot of dust on here, you want to wipe it off because it does reduce the gripability of the battery, and then it will eject if it gets too much dust on it. You get spare props, and this is a new EMAX Nanohawk prop. I don't know. I think it's like it's a 31 millimeter, obviously, but it's a different pitch, and it's 4-bladed. I prefer 3-bladed, like on the Mobula 6 here with the jump fan. So maybe they'll come up with 3-bladed later, but yeah, this is the one they came with, and you get one spare set. Now, because they only sent one battery, I did try and fly with some other batteries. I had this Eachine 250 with a GNB27 connector, as you can see here. I forget which one this came with. I had a few of these around. So I flew with this one. It does weigh a little bit less. You can get a little bit more accurate performance with this lighter battery, but you get like a really short flight time. I think like about 2 minutes, and that's about it. You get about closer to 3.5 minutes on the 300, maybe closer to 4, depending how you're flying, of course. If you're flying really hard, you're going to get less. Like I was flying pretty hard on this battery, doing a lot of like full throttle punch outs and flips and rolls and all that kind of acro stuff, and I only got like 1 minute and 50 seconds or something like that. I'm like maybe 2 minutes on this battery. So if you want to make more of these batteries, if you can't find these, you can just buy the connectors. So they come in this pack of 10, I believe. You get basically both sides, 5 of each. And I got these from Amazon. I'll link this down in the description if you want to convert some of your other batteries. So if you happen to have some of these other batteries with a PH2 connector like this, you can just buy these connectors, snip off this connector, and solder on the GNB27 connector, and it'll work with the Nanohawk. So that's one way of getting more batteries until more of these are available. I think this one's like a little bit flatter and wider, and it's really meant for this particular setup here. And yeah, you could probably also go with a bigger battery as well if you're just cruising around, like go with the 450. I think EMAX has a bunch of these 450s as well, and just change the connector from the PH2 to the GNB27, and you're good to go. So, batteries are kind of an annoying thing. You have to kind of get the, when a new standard comes out like this, you have to kind of acquire new batteries or change the existing ones you have to the new connector, but there are solutions out there available. Okay, so overall, I thought the performance was pretty decent. The tune, of course, is, typical EMAX, very good. I didn't like the rates, so I changed all the rates to rates I like. I think the rates in here were more suited. They're very docile rates, so they're more suited to like beginner flyers, and also people that fly mostly angle mode. So if you fly mostly acro mode like I do, you're gonna want to change the rates, of course, to something that you like more appropriately, because the out of the box rates are just not. I just didn't like them at all. Now, in terms of the weight here, it's pretty close to the Mobula 6. So this is coming in here at about 20.6 grams, and Mobula 6 here was 19.9, so it's fairly light. And because of the way the mass is distributed on the frame, with not much here in the prop guards, you do get, I think, better acro performance on the lower kV motor than you would on the Mobula 6. So there's pros and cons. You're giving up better protection. So if you hit yourself or the people, you may possibly cut them and scratch them, depending on how hard you fly into them. But you are gaining better acro performance and better weight distribution in terms of what mass is here on the outside, where these smaller motors have a harder time controlling that mass on the outside of the frame. So they try to, bring all the mass to the inside, to the center, and that way you have better control with these smaller motors. And we'll have to see, what people think about that overall. I'm kind of on the fence. I'm not really sure which way it's going to go. I don't, knowing now how these prop guards perform in terms of hitting people, I think I would probably try and avoid people with knowing that you might possibly, damage, cut them with these props. The other thing that I probably would change is just the camera, I guess the way the camera's held in, and the ability to add the ability to change the camera angle. That's the main thing I would change in this one. But otherwise, it's pretty decent. Make sure you do unlock the video transmitter, because a lot of channels don't work if you don't unlock it. I had that problem as well when I first got this. But other than that, it's still I've got mixed feelings about this design. I think it's innovative, it's new, different. Just not really sure if this is a long-term solution. I haven't broken these. That's another thing. Like, I thought, these little thin prop guards would probably break really easily, but they've held up. It's just that they've held up in a lot of crashes. I think they're designed to be flexible like that, to give, so they don't snap. But then you do get a lot of bent props and jello because of the bent props. So it's a trade-off. I'm not really sure which way this is going to go in terms of what people are going to accept. It really depends on what you're looking for. So if you don't mind that, if you don't mind changing props a lot, that kind of thing, or don't mind the jello, if you just want the performance, maybe this is the way to go. So we'll see. Anyway, here's additional flight footage for you. I probably showed you a bunch of flight footage already. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.